everybody to the December 18th, 2017 Mendon Board of Selectmen's meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Full house tonight. So, citizen statements and petitions. Just real quick, as most of you know, we had a pretty devastating fire up on North Ave. I just want to, reach out personally to the family that was involved, and also thank our community for the amount of support that's been provided to the family. I have been in contact with them, and they are extremely appreciative of the support from the community and from the family, and also I'm sure the board here. Thank you very much for all that strong support. They could certainly use it.
And just along with that, might be worth saying that the Mendon Brothers of the Brush will be having a porchetta on the 13th of January. The proceeds to go to the family as well, so we'll be on the lookout for tickets for that.
Okay. Any other citizen statements or petitions? I have one.
You're not a citizen.
Name and street.
The email that you guys received about the parking on 16.
Yes.
I told that citizen I'd bring it up today. He's very displeased that people park over on 16 by Alicante. A long time ago, the state did put signs up there, no parking, then the state took them down. 16 parking throughout the past 20 years, we've kind of used common sense approach. If it's a dangerous area, we try to enforce it. If it's not, then people are parking there, they're doing it at their own risk. We can't make everybody, be safe all the time. And 16 is kind of a weird area too, because it is a state highway, but it runs through towns like Milford, and Milford has parking meters on Route 16. So we try to use common sense approach where we think it's a safe distance. We don't really devote all our resources there. 2 guys on at night to stand there all night and keep ticketing people and moving them. It's just too much of our resources to dedicate to that on a regular basis. The owners over at that restaurant are very responsible. They put cones up on each direction. They make sure that valet guys don't park over there. The people who are parking there are either residents or individuals who are going to the business. So we do watch in the winter to make sure they're not on the sidewalks, because the sidewalks are maintained, and we have ticketed people for that. We do have a night guy who watches out for that on a regular basis, so we try to keep the sidewalks safe so people aren't in the roads due to the vehicles parking over there. But again, we try to use a common sense approach. If someone's having a party on 16 down the street and it's a safe area, we're not going to go ticketing all the residents because they're having a party. So we try to do the same thing with the businesses too. If it's safe or reasonably safe, we try not to hold them to the letter of the law with it. So I don't know how. I told him I'd forward that to the board. He wasn't too happy with that either. He feels it should be enforced all the time, but I don't know what the pleasure of the board would be with that.
If I may, the state troopers drive by there all the time.
Correct.
Do you know if they ever ticket people or have an issue?
We've never heard about it. The only time we've heard about any issue with ticketing is actually when we ticketed them for parking on the sidewalks, and the owner actually took all the tickets from the people who got them, and he came in and he paid them to the town. Sure. And he said he'll personally make sure with his people out there that they stay off the sidewalks. So he's been responsible with it. So that's the only time we've ever had a ticketing issue up there.
So from my standpoint, I appreciate the update. If there's any action that this board needs to do, we'll have to get it on a future agenda. Okay. But what I'll do, Chief, is just refer to you, and you can let us know if you feel that we need to enforce something, and we can, at that point, debate it. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. Did you? I presume you described most of what you described to us to him.
Yep, I have relayed it to him. Yeah. Again, he still wanted it to go to the board because he wasn't too happy with it, but I told him I'd pass it along during this segment. And
did a specific event precipitate?
It was snowing the other day. He drove by and thought it was dangerous over there, people getting out of their cars. So, and again, the DOT plows that street. They've never made a complaint to us that they want the cars out of the way or off the road or anything during those times. So if they called, we'd remove vehicles for them.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
Anything else, guys?
I'm
On that?
good.
All right,
all right, thank you.
thank you. Any other citizen statements or petitions? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Correspondence to the board? No correspondence to the board. All right, adoption and release of the previous meeting minutes. Mark will take a motion.
I move to adopt and release the previous meeting minutes of December 5th, 2016, December 15th, 2016, September 18th, 2017, and November 6th, 2017.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's see, number 5, consider memorandum of understanding between the Military Division of the Commonwealth and the Town of Mendon. Veterans Agent Robin Fletcher will be present. Come on up, Robin.
Make the motion.
Yep, so Mark, you want to make a motion on
I
this?
move to sign the memorandum of understanding between the Military Division of the Commonwealth and the Town of Mendon.
Second.
Discussion on that. Looks like we received a memorandum from the military. Did you guys have an opportunity to review it?
I did not.
Mark?
No, but if Robin could explain to us
Yeah,
what it
just
is.
briefly, if I can. Up until last year sometime, whenever I needed to pull down records for an individual so that, for example, they were looking for a discharge paper for an individual who had come out of the military in Massachusetts, the military division actually keeps those records in the Adjutant General's office, which is, in this particular case, the records office is right over here in Milford at the old National Guard facility. That has been since the Adjutant General has since moved over to Concord area, but that office is still there. We used to be able to, and still can actually, pull down the records online so that if we have an individual who comes in, they've lost their DD-214, their discharge paper, we can provide that for them. Also, in order for us to be able to verify that the individual is in fact a veteran who is in in good stead, so to speak, honorable discharge or whatever. In order to get benefits at the state level, I have to have access to that information. So recently what they've been doing is the records office in Milford has been removing people who did not access this on a regular basis. The regular basis was a kind of a nebulous thing because it was never defined in any agreement that we had previous to this. And the other issue was that they are having concerns about security because personal information is on those records. So what this does is it simply says, okay, you guys are going to make sure that if I leave the job, you're going to take my access, so it notify them that my access is no longer needed, and therefore whoever the new person is, you're going to have to sign another memorandum of agreement. And basically the agreement requires that excuse me, that I have passed a Corey check, that I have I'm aware of the fact that if I don't access the system in a period of 60 days, they're likely to pull that away from me, and a few other basic things like that, all related to the security of the system.
So no felonies?
Pardon me?
No felonies?
No felonies. So the Massachusetts Veteran Service Officers Association isn't necessarily happy about this whole thing, but it's basically the only way we can get the records to all the people in the state that need those records. So every community is required to pass one of these or sign one of these agreements. I have one in Upton and I have one here. up until now, I have a little problem with the way they've handled this, because up until now, recently, I've had to call them up and say, do you have a record for so-and-so? And they provide the record, and they send it to me in an email attachment, which I don't think is very secure. And my main concern here is that, you know, they should know better. But regardless, what this is going to do is get us back to the point where we can pull up the records on our own and do the necessary verification of the individual as to whether or not they're a veteran, you know, and that sort of thing. And in fact, actually, occasionally you see somebody has whited out a portion of the piece of paper that says dishonorable and changed it to honorable, stuff like that. So there's a reason why we have to be able to do a verification on that record. Any questions?
I actually had an opportunity to read the document, and it seemed pretty straightforward to me. You know, it's more of a formality and a process
Right.
than anything, so I don't have any concerns with it, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it seems as simple as you need access to the records, they're giving you access using a password, and that 3-page document says you're gonna do that.
The only other part of that that's a little bit off is that we then have to go through training on whatever they think we should do. I'm not really sure, because all it is pulling up an individual's name and record, you know. That we will not share that password with anyone else, and a variety of other reasons.
Who's we? So not we, you.
Yes, that I will not
Yeah.
share the password or the user ID with anyone else.
Correct.
Or any other community.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's kind of crazy when you work in 2 different towns. You're going to use, at the moment, you're going to use it when you need it. That's the bottom line.
And the document's very specific on what that was outlined.
Yeah, I didn't see a process though in there if something happened to you or we needed somebody else, you
It's in-
left in some,
It-
oh,
it's
did I
in-
miss
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
It is in there. And what it basically says is that even if, you know, I inadvertently pull up a record from Upton while I'm in Mendon, then technically they could rescind my access to the system. Be honest about it, there's no way to detect that. You know, I mean, people come in from all over the state, they're from everywhere, you know, and there's no way to know that. I don't know why they bothered to put that in there, but the fact is, they did have a problem, I assume. You know, almost every funeral home, for example, has access to the system.
Did we
And
have,
the reason is because they have to be able to verify that the person is due military honors. that sort of thing.
did we have legal look at that at all?
Nor do I think that they need to be honest with you. You know, because it's just a process, more in a formality than it
Yeah.
is.
Really.
Yeah, I would agree with you, I'm just asking.
There's nothing in there that obligates you to anything, other than to report me if I leave the job. Okay.
Good.
Okay, any further discussion on that, guys?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention to you that I think is of importance. I shared this a little bit with Kim the other day. This town, on a monthly basis, and this record goes, I mean, the information that I have here really goes back to 2014, okay? But on a monthly basis, this town receives $106,111 as of the 2014 date a month in benefits that come directly from the VA to individuals who live in this town, in this zip code. And so what I'm saying here is that while I do a lot of state benefits, I also do a lot of federal benefits. And that money represents the efforts that we have done in order to help people get their disabilities or their claims for disability or any of those sorts of things. And every month, that money is spent here in this town, and it's,
It's fantastic.
you know, it's coming straight from the federal treasury. It's not
Yeah.
going through.
And thank you for the amount of effort that you put into it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming in. All right, so moving right along. The next agenda item is pertaining to an alcohol liquor license request from Showtime Entertainment. This was to be a public hearing. 2 minutes prior to this meeting, I was informed that Showtime decided to withdraw their application. So with no application, there's no reason to host a public hearing. So
I think it should be clear that they intend to refile that. It's just a change of time and venue.
I have
Hopefully
not been
not venue.
informed, I have not been informed of,
I mean, that-
Of
I don't-
any-
You know what I mean. Yeah.
of any desire to resubmit, but if they do, we'll go through the same process.
Yep.
Okay. So I assume that everybody else is here, not for that, but for everything else that we have on the agenda. But thank you for coming in for those that were here for that.
There's our audience.
So we don't even have to go in and out of hearing, right, for this?
You're not having it? It's not happening?
Okay, good.
Yeah, we don't have any application to act on.
Drawn.
All right, moving on. Moving on.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
I did, yeah. You're a lot better at it than I am, though. Consider common victual license for the new owner of Subway at 32 Hastings Street. Question mark?
Okay. I move to approve a common vittler license for L&M LLC, the new owner of Subway, 32 Hastings Street.
I'm not going to second that till you pronounce that right.
It's Vittler.
It's Viller. Actually, I mispronounced it. I had it the last time.
Second.
All right, discussion on that. Do we have somebody here from Subway?
Linda and Michael Maloney.
Okay, come on up. Yeah, come on up.
I don't have any questions myself, but
Yeah, I really don't.
Howdy, folks.
Hi
How are you?
Very good, thanks.
So just a new, you've obviously just purchased it, and you're just trying to transfer the license?
Yes.
That's all we're doing. We purchased it 10 days ago and just applying for the victuals license.
Victuals, is that how
I
you?
think that's
I
the
don't
way
know.
I pronounce it.
I looked it up on Google and had Google pronounce it for me.
he thinks he's the expert on pronouncing
Actually,
that
you want to
word,
know
so.
something? I did the same thing and had it nailed last time. We did all the approvals for these, and I failed tonight, but,
Food is easier.
all right. Obviously, a great establishment within town. Congratulations on the purchase, and we look
Thank you.
forward
Thank
to seeing the business continue, so.
Excellent.
Any other questions regarding the transfer license?
Nothing for me.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
All right, pretty simple. All right, consider Castle Booth as designer services for the new police station.
I move to approve Kessel Booze for designer services for the new police station.
Second.
Looks like we got some folks here from the police station building committee.
Don's right in front of the cookies.
Which is home cooking.
The guy least likely to eat one.
Yeah, that's to sweeten them up a little bit. Good job.
Excuse me, much like we did with the OPM process, we put out an RFP for the designer services. We had 3 responses to that. All of them were very high-quality ones. Going through the parameters that we set in the RFP, we narrowed it down to the top 2 choices. Castle Booze being one of them. We have Larry Witzel from Castle Booze here, Kevin Witzel, from Castle Booze here tonight. After we interviewed them both firms last Wednesday, and after a great deal of debate, we unanimously selected Castle Booze as the designer of choice. Mary did the background checks on them, everything checks out with them. They were the ones who did the Bellingham station that you toured with us back a few months ago.
Sure, came out very
And
nice.
they've done numerous other stations as well.
Excellent.
This is really going to happen.
Guys, you have any questions?
None for me.
No?
No?
They're good enough. If they think they're the right choice, then they're the right choice.
Yeah, we've got a contract that was in the RFP. They're working on finalizing that. We'll obviously go through it. We'll send it to you folks for going through with town council, and the fee for it was set in the RFP as well.
Okay. Fantastic.
Great.
Well, I don't have any questions myself, so all in favor?
Aye.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
How long do you think it'll take for the design?
We figure probably about 6 months to get the design finished and then another probably month and a half to bid it. So we're hoping that by the 1st of August, we might be able to have some contractor on board.
Oh,
Wow.
you mean it won't be done by then?
The drawings will be.
Well, we'll rely on our committee to crack the whip. Well, thank you very much, and we obviously look forward to the progress, so.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, moving on. Discussion of MVP grants. Is Ann here?
Does that mean you're the most valuable player? Is that what that means?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. So we were here just to tell you about the MVP program and to give you an update. And the program is out of an executive order from the Energy and Environmental Affairs Office, and it establishes an integrated climate strategy for the Commonwealth. And Mendon applied for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant, MVP, and we got it, and it was for $15,000 for technical assistance on preparing Mendon for resiliency in like a natural disaster. And we're working with the Blackstone River Watershed Association, and Susan Thomas and Ted Beauvais are the two consultants that we're working with. And I'm the program manager. Basically, they're going to tell you more like details about the program, but once it's completed, Mendon would have a plan for what to do in a natural disaster and how we can prepare so that we're prepared for that type of thing. And so right now, obviously, we're collecting lots of information because a lot of good work has been done in Mendon already. And there'll be some workshops, and once Mendon is an MVP town, then there's access to funding for different projects, and also being designated an MVP town, that if you're writing any kind of a grant to the state, you get extra points for doing that. So, and also the governor is very supportive of the program. It's something that's going to be around for a while, and we want it to be on the ground floor of the program. So I'm going to let Ted and Susan give more details about the program.
Hi. So again, my name is Susan Thomas. I'm part of the MVP team that's going to be working with Mendon. Ted and I have been through the training. We're certified by the state to work with towns like Mendon, and we're excited to work with you guys. You were awarded on the first round, so this is just one round of many that the state hopes to do. So you guys are just on the cutting edge, I also work as a coordinator for the Blackstone River Coalition's water quality monitoring team. So we do water quality monitoring from Worcester down to Pawtucket. So generally my background is in environmental conservation and planning. And like Ann said, that the overall goal is to make Mendon resilient to not just natural disasters, but climate change in general. And that's going to look different for every community across Commonwealth, whether it's coastal changes, or it's drought, or it's heat waves, or it's more severe precipitation during the winter months. That includes ice storms, right? So we don't know what it's going to look like. The idea is to put together the resources that you do have, see what planning gaps there are, and fill those gaps in, and come up with action plan that you will then work forward with. And as Ann mentioned, just becoming certified as a town automatically makes you an elevated status for receiving state grants to implement whatever actions that you choose to come up with as part of this process. So the first part of the process is we wanted to identify and survey the key decision makers in town, okay? And whether that be in person through a series of interviews or by a questionnaire that we're going to send out to other people in the community. So basically to find out the connection between issues you have in town, resources and strengths that you have, but also the plans that you've made and any plans that you've identified as not having been met yet. So we're trying to make a connection between local planning and community issues. So to that end, we've met with Kim and Mark. Also Dave, Police Chief, Mark Buccino, your Director of Emergency Management, Alan Tetrial, Highway Surveyor, who, boy, he gets thumbs up from a lot of folks for his proactive work on tree trimming, I have to tell you that. Bill Ambrosino, your Planning Board member, as well as a local business rep, we interviewed him. And then most recently, Tom Fitchner, who was representing the Board of Health. And like I said, there's other...
Tom smiling at your butchery of his name.
Fitchner, I thought it. So anyway, those are the initial folks that we've met with in person to try to get a sense of what your town has done, what hazards you have experienced in the past that might shed light on going forward. And then I just wanted to also mention that the technical assistance that we as a team are going to be drawing on includes Mass Audubon, who's going to be providing us with some expertise on climate downscaling, which means taking the larger research data that we have and bringing it down to a practical level, meaning what does it mean at the municipal level? How can we act on it down here? And that takes, people who are experts in modeling and statistical relationships to say, this is how Mendon can make predictions on the next 20 to 50 years based on the national data or the state data or New England climate data, okay? We're also going to be drawing on somebody with BRWA that has GIS expertise, because again, we're going to be looking at all the various data layers and putting that together with the climate data that we have from the state. And again, it takes a GIS person to really pull that together with any other mapping tools that you might already have here in town, whether they be FEMA maps or
That's that same
health maps.
software that...
Yes.
Right. So again, even though Ted and I have been trained and we have other people that are going to work at the workshops, we're pulling on additional resources that we're in touch with so that in the end we have a very complete roadmap where Mendon's going to go.
Let me just finish up with a little bit more on what we're doing, and then we'll be done. I'm Ted Beauvais. I'm with the Blackstone River Watershed Association. I'm on the board of directors of that group. I'm retired from the U.S. Forest Service. My background is forestry, natural resources, and planning. I've done a lot of work with communities and with various forestry, natural resource assistance types of programs. And this effort, I think, is going to be very useful for Mendon. At least that's our expectation. And I say that because it's Mendon information and Mendon data that comes into this. We help to facilitate the process. And our facilitation is going to show up on January 31st and February 7th when we do 2 half-day workshops for the stakeholders who are going to be invited. Those are basically the people that you and Ann, the town, wants to invite. It's town employees, town officials, NGO, nonprofit, business people, anybody who has a real interest and some knowledge and something to contribute to this process. And we will go through those 2 half days. We'll start off with some presentations, but most of it's going to be hearing from people and breaking out into small groups. And what we'll find out from that group of people are what are the hazards that Mendon faces, and then we're going to move into the community vulnerabilities and strengths. And we've learned some about that already from the interviews that we've done, so we've got a little bit of a feel for that, but we'll hear from this broader group. And it's broken into infrastructure, societal, and environmental. So there's kind of 3 categories that are required to be looked at in this program. And we'll address those and get that input from the people at the workshops. And then they identify and prioritize the community actions and come up with a whole group all getting back together with the highest priority actions. And then that leads to a final report and certification for Mendon. And Ann, did you just want to close?
Do you have any questions?
No, it's nice to see progress. I mean, clearly we want to be prepared. And, you know, this is certainly moving us in the right direction, so I'm excited. I assume this ties in with the state's disaster resilience planning and everything else, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
intended to harmonize with any other planning efforts that
Sure.
are underway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just real quick, through this grant and through the effort in our planning, does that help move us up in the queue if we were to experience some sort of event or anything like that on respect to receiving resources or anything like that from the state?
Well, I think after we put together the report and everything, and there's certain things that Mendon has a gap in, like if there was a culvert that needed to be replaced or something else, then that would be the kind of thing that we could go to the state and request funds.
Okay.
So it's more preventative and.
Right, for example, we might identify that there's, the infrastructure, that there's roadways for evacuation, that there's something about protecting water quality for drinking water, or communication, maybe you've got to improve that, or transportation in terms of the elderly population, so we don't know what's going to come up yet. That's why we want to continue with some of the questionnaires, but the idea is that, there'll be the money that comes out of the state for implementation of action plans. There'll be additional grants from the state that just putting yourself down as MVP certified puts you up. I mean, we're not guaranteeing anything, but that's the idea of the state, is they want to get everybody to this point so that they can more efficiently dispense funds for things like roadways or flood control, things like that.
So that's really the difference between what Mark Bikino does and what you're doing here. This is proactive, and what Mark would do would be deal with something reactively, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I would agree with that, yeah.
And definitely, we got good information from him and would be coordinating and want to get more.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, the better prepared we are, the easier reactivity is. Yeah.
Great. Mark, any other
I
questions?
do not, no.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent, thanks for the
Thanks.
update.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's okay, they don't overuse it.
Clean's good.
Okay, see, looks like we have some interviewing of some candidates tonight. Let's see. Looks like first interview of candidates is for the Conservation Commission. So, looks like we have one seat available on the Concom. We have two candidates. Might as well take them in order. Emilio Perez. You're here? Come on up.
Good evening.
Good
How
evening,
are you?
How are you?
Good, you?
Good. Rich, I'll let you start the question off.
I think we've talked to this gentleman before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
That's all right.
I think
I
so.
think last time we were missing Mr. Mark, so we postponed the
Yeah.
decision
That's correct.
process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just start with just what interests you about about such a volunteer position.
So I've been interested in getting involved in the township in general. The position was made known to me through a series of connections. I was looking to spearhead a Great American Cleanup program in the Mendon area. It sounds like you might already have a program in place. I was referred to the township personnel through, I believe, Bonnie over at Blackstone. And she put me in touch with Ann Mazar, and she made me aware of the position. So I read through it. I read the Mass Chapter 7, I believe, which I think is the boring part of the description. And it sounded like something I was interested in. After sitting in on a couple of the meetings, it seems like maybe one of my sore spots would be industry knowledge.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Industry knowledge. I think I'm going to be lacking a little bit there, but I do have experience reading technical drawings, both on blueprint and architectural. It looked interesting, looked like a good place to start. I've participated in some outdoor cleanups before. I'm not sure to what extent this group participates in such activities, and I've led green initiatives with my fun job. So,
I'm sorry, with your what job?
my fun job. I have a second job. I work with it's a large group that puts on car shows throughout the United States, and I've kind of helped with some of the background work, some of the marketing, and setting up a waste reduction or zero waste program at some of the events.
Do you guys have questions? I have like 5 questions written down.
You go ahead.
So I didn't want to.
Oh, no, by all means, go ahead.
So you kind of touched on 2 of the questions I have. In your own words, what do you believe is the main purpose or charter of the Conservation Commission?
For the most part, it sounds like protecting the wetlands and everything contained in them. Just making sure that any building activities or any, I guess, general population activities don't recede or erode or damage the integrity of the wetlands.
Okay. And why do you personally believe that it's important to protect wetlands?
The water's going to go somewhere. It's also, I assume, habitat to many unique species of flora and fauna, and I think it would be in our best interest to kind of keep them where they belong, allow the ecosystem to do its job, and maintain as needed.
I'm just going to ask you to pull the mic a little closer to you.
Sure,
so
I'm backing away
our
so I don't
audio
generate
guy
feedback.
can tune down the volume a little bit.
That's fine.
All right. Good.
My last question is, why do you believe that you would be a good fit for this committee and this role?
I'm young and enthusiastic. I don't know. I like to roll up my sleeves.
You say that almost like it's not a big thing, but it actually is a big thing.
Right.
I like to roll up my sleeves and get involved in projects. I'm not really the type of person that'll just put in my 4 hours, 2 hours, 8 hours and go home. I like to learn the process front and back, in between, really figure out what my niche is and what precedes it and what it hands off to, and really get absorbed in the bigger picture, not just specifically my tasks. So I wouldn't mind doing a tour of the township if given the opportunity.
Yeah. So actually, my question is why do you want to get involved with the town committee? What's really driving you to do that? I think you answered it somewhat. So that'll be my first question.
I like to get involved in things. I'm not much of a backseat participant. I've been involved in several committees at work. The second job that I mentioned actually started as a volunteer position, and I got in and improved the efficiency of some of their processes, and they went, oh, hey, we can use this guy, so they onboarded me. I don't know, it's just a general interest in what goes on behind the scenes of the town. I mean, that's what kind of led me here.
Mm. And are you able to make the time commitment involved with that this committee demands?
Yeah, right now, I mean, my work schedule is 40 hours, so I got all the time in the world once I get home.
Excellent.
What do you do for your principal line of work?
I'm in inventory control in a medical device facility. So I started off in machining and then moved over to inventory. So I kind of just move stuff around, oversee the inventory, kind of
logistics and stuff.
A bird's eye view of where stuff's going, where it's coming to, and making sure the material and the controlling shop orders get there on time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. All right. Mark, you have any further questions?
No, I'm good.
Rich?
I think I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Glenn Musini?
Yes.
Good, how are you? I hope I didn't butcher your name.
You were close.
All right.
Muccini.
Muccini?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, go ahead, Rich, I'll let you start again.
I think, you know what? Let's go with Mr. Real's questions.
Thank you.
He has some written
Well,
down.
actually, it's the same question you started with before, I think.
There you go, so go for
Should
it.
have took notes then.
How did you become interested in serving on a town board?
Well, I just recently built a house in Mendon, and going through the process, I learned that there was a chair available. And I applied through conservation about 6 months ago, and they actually told me there would be some classes that I could take to learn what I don't know. And I was willing to volunteer my time. I'm on another board that oversees 250 condominium units, and I've been on that board for about 5 years now.
Okay. What is your background? What do you do for work?
So I do a couple things. I've owned my own business for 30 years, and I have rental property that I've had for 32 years that I take care of.
Okay.
So, sorry, what business is that you?
Oh, the first business, a tavern. I've had a tavern for 30 years.
I gotcha.
Great. In your own words, what do you believe is the main purpose or charter of the Conservation Commission?
I believe it's protecting the water sources and the wildlife.
Okay. And why do you believe it's important to protect wetlands?
For pollution, to keep everything natural.
Okay. That's my questions.
Are you able to make the time commitment?
I am.
On the tavern and
Yep.
all the other businesses?
I am. Again, I work for myself, so I can make my own hours. And I've never missed a meeting in the other board in 5 years.
Okay. Rich?
I don't think I have any other questions, I really don't.
Okay. Do we have a recommendation from the Conservation Commission?
I believe it said they recommended Mr. Muccini.
Yes.
Okay. Is there, I just saw a member of the Conservation Commission come in. Good, how are you? Trying to think of the process. So what are the next steps?
Ask a member of the committee to come up and talk about their recommendation, or you can vote.
Okay. So just, it's a new process, so I'm just making sure I want to get all the steps just right. Do you want to come up and, real quick? And discuss your recommendation?
Excuse my time. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
All right. So, why, the recommendation for Mr. Muccini? How'd you guys come to that?
I think we met, and basically the time, having the time to be there. You know, we have a lot of meetings where we don't have a quorum due to, you know, everybody's busy lives. So to have somebody that can be there at every meeting or most of the meetings and is willing to learn and go to maybe some classes to, you know, get a little better adjusted to it. I think that was the biggest thing that that brought us all together.
You did interview both of them, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You guys have any other questions on that?
Yeah, I have can we recall Emilio for a quick follow-up?
Absolutely. I don't see any reason why we can't.
Okay.
All right.
I just have a quick follow-up from Mr.
Do you have any
Perez.
questions for Damon?
No, I'm good.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Do you want to come back up again?
I'm curious if any of the other members of the Conservation Commission have taken those classes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have other members of the Concom taken those classes?
Yes. So a lot of the people on the board have been on the board for 15, 20 years. So we've all adjusted and learned a lot just by being on the board.
Is it a regular program that's offered?
It's something that would have to be paid by the town to go to some of the workshops that they have. But just being around it, I think, is a big part of being around the meetings and learning as you go is a big thing. But basically being able to be at the meetings.
I have a question. Just curious.
Just 1 second. Mrs. Schofield's going to do a follow-up question, then I'll allow you.
Okay. So, Mr. Perez, can I assume that, that you would be equally as available for any training classes or what have you? I mean, we didn't specifically ask the question. I know that Mr. Musini said he would be, but I just wanted to make sure that, it sounded like you had similar free time and access to free time as...
I have a wife, no kids, and very flexible hobbies, so yes, I would be available.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, just name and street so we know who you are.
Milford Street. I just had a quick question about the classes you guys were talking about. Are these certified classes per se?
The certified is just classes that you go to learn more about the, maybe the new bylaws, or new laws that come into effect, the DEP.
Correct. So what I'm getting to with that is, these classes have to be retaking at a certain time because laws do change? You know what I mean? Things do change over, the course of years. So someone that took a class 20 years ago, it could be outdated from someone that's taking a class right now. I just want to know the overall structure of the classes that people have to take to get this position.
So I think just to clarify even a little bit more, I would say, is there any credentialing or anything like that? Sorry, my Siri's kicking in.
Siri thought you called it.
It just seemed a little out of bounds where one gentleman was already advised about classes and took it, and it seems like maybe the other gentleman might have not known about these classes, but I was willing to take it. So I just want to know, the overall structure of these classes and who, who.
Yeah. Let me see if I can answer on that.
Just so it's equal.
Yeah.
Nobody is, you're not required to take them. It's just if you wanted to get more, learn more for yourself and better your knowledge.
All right. So on a judgment call, the classes should be equal if someone took it or didn't take it. Correct. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from you guys?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion from someone.
I move to appoint Emilio Perez to the Conservation Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2021.
Okay, I'm going to second for discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Okay. So yeah, if we take a look at the two candidates, I love the youth and the energy. I think we have otherwise two very equal candidates. So I think the only thing that separates them for me is that. So I think I would be inclined to move in that direction as well.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I had my chance to ask the questions. I was really focused on the discussion of why protecting wetlands was important, and I feel, both answers were acceptable. Mr. Perez went a little more in depth with his, so.
It always bothers me having to...
It's always hard.
Well, particularly when you get people volunteering their time for something, and you only got one position you can fill. I think that's, it's tough.
Many vacancies on other boards and commissions. We don't have to fight over the one.
I know.
Well, certainly, we always appreciate interests. Anybody that wants to take an interest in our community, and
more than appreciate it.
And clearly, it's the intention of this board to fill these positions, and obviously fill them with the candidates that are going to help move our community forward. So I don't know if there's any more discussion on that, guys.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's the Conservation Commission. Looks like we got a couple more appointments here tonight. So we have two candidates for the Mendon Cultural Council, and looks like there's two seats, right? Two seats available? Okay. So we have...
Oh, good, we don't have to make a scarcity choice this time.
Ellen Gold. Is Ellen here?
Yes.
Oh, we don't even have to talk about this one. Let's just take the vote.
I'll do whatever you want.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How's everybody?
Doing well. I'll let Mark start this time.
Well, okay, same questions apply, really.
Same question.
Why, how did you become interested in serving on this town board?
On this town board, well, first of all, can you hear me? Okay. I just want to say I do like volunteering for my town government, and it's been a couple of years since I've done that, so I felt it was time to come back and volunteer because I do enjoy doing that. I like giving service to my town.
Well, even so, your actions speak louder than words on that. You've spent many amount of time.
But I particularly like this particular volunteer opportunity because my love for the arts. My particular passion is fiber arts, which it means...
I'm sorry, what?
Fiber.
Fiber arts. Okay.
Yep, materials, fabric, things like that. So I've been president of a couple different guilds, so I know about, so I'm in the art world kind of thing. So, so I think I have a little bit of experience. I've also had experience on receiving grants when I was a Girl Scout leader because we applied to the council and received grants so we could take them to like the Nutcracker and things like that, do educational opportunities. I think it's important for us to be able to give grants out to deserving individuals and to groups. And these are state funds that we would have to disperse. So I think I have a little bit of experience with the arts that I might be able to go in that direction.
Keep on going, Mark.
You covered a lot there.
Okay, sorry.
Let's see. You covered that. I'm not going to ask you a Conservation Commission question.
Okay.
Why do you believe that promoting cultural activities in the community is important?
I think it really helps to promote. A lot of these cultural grants, I believe, go out to youngsters and other and groups that might promote art activities. Sorry, changing hats. So I think it's important to expose the people to that. So maybe someone doesn't understand what it takes to make a quilt or to create something, or they've never been to a ballet before. Might be nice to be able to put an art show on in town and be able to fund something like that. So I think it's important. It really helps create a well-rounded citizen.
Great.
Believe it or not, one of these days I want to go learn how to quilt down at Joyce's
I think you'd
place.
be a wonderful
sitting there.
quilter in your spare time.
Just call me Rosie Greer.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't have any questions for. I mean, I know her more than well enough to know.
As well. Yeah. So, all right, great.
Thank you.
And
Are we just going to take both votes afterward? Is that what you want to do?
yeah, I think we should
Okay, all
take
right.
them both after. All right, make it easy. So sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Is the other candidate here?
Mike?
Oh, Michael? Yeah. Okay.
Now, this guy we need to pummel with questions. He's only been in town a month.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay.
You're doing so well.
I feel like I cheated. I heard the other
Notes
questions.
here then. How did you become interested in serving on the board?
So we just moved to Mendon on Halloween, actually. So I think we come here with two young boys, a family. We want to be part of the community, and I feel like myself personally, I come from a background of art, so I play the drums. My mother is an artist, my sister's a singer, so always been exposed to arts just naturally growing up, and I want to make sure that the environment that we raise our children in and the town we raise our children in also has a promotion of that same culture, right? So if I can be able to be contributing towards that in any way, I think that's something that's intriguing to me, and it also allows me to also partake in the community, sort of your first toe dipping into, an active member in the actual town. So that's what interests me about it.
Great.
Covered a lot of my
Yeah,
questions
it
there.
certainly did. Yeah.
What do you do? What's your background?
So background's in marketing, so I work...
That's an art.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent.
That covered my questions. So.
And obviously you can make the time commitment and
Sure.
everything else with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
He also joined the Historical Society, so he's got that tie-in as well.
Very nice. Well, you're really diving
Jumping in.
Purchased the map from the Historical Society, but yes, contributed to the Historical Society.
Oh, that's right too. Yeah.
Not an official member.
Then I got to get you on the Historical Society.
That's right, first step.
We need the dues.
I learned how to ski by my friends taking me up to the top of a Black Diamond Mountain and just pushing me down, so.
There you go.
So there you go.
Just dive right in.
That's right.
I don't really have any questions, so I think that if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll take a motion on Ellen first.
Well, we can do it both at the same time. I move to appoint Ellen Gould and Michael Fader to the Mendon Cultural Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2020.
Second?
Yeah, second, but.
That's not right.
That can't be right. Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, 20, it's got to be.
3-year term.
No, I know, but they're usually staggered, right? But
The 2 seats are the 20.
Oh, the two 3-year ones. Okay, all right.
2020 sounds.
No, that's
a long
right.
ways away, but it's really
It
not.
isn't that far. Think about it, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so second?
All right, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right, the only next thing on the list is other topics not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours. I don't think we have any. All right, so we'll move into executive session for purpose 2. So under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions with respect to collective bargaining with Town Hall Union, Mendon Highway Department, Union Mass Coalition of Police, AFL-CIO Local 188, Mendon Police Civilian Employees Union 188A, and Mendon Permanent Firefighters Union. Take a motion.
You were supposed to.
You're supposed to do it. So now you gotta basically read it twice.
Yeah. So we'll reconvene in regular session only to adjourn.
You have a second?
Roll call needed.
Schofield, aye?
Real eye.
Burke, aye. Thank you.